Alright, good evening ladies. In today's video we're going to be discussing Solana, and it's been actually a good while since I've done a straight up Solana video. Obviously when I was making Solana videos basically saying I'm buying as much Solana as I possibly can. Just a side note, I still am buying as much Solana as I possibly can. But since then Solana, the price has absolutely gone crazy. One of the best performing top coins out there. So I thought there was better opportunities. Once Solana had kind of done all its pump, I was looking at the Solana ecosystem, Solana NFTs, etc., and other coins, other AI coins and stuff to park my money, because potentially Solana has done quite a bit of a nice run. However, I'm still plowing money into Solana. Don't be fooled. But yeah, just in regards to content, in today's video I wanted to share more details about the differences between Solana and Ethereum and other layer ones that are actually critical and very important, why Solana, I think, is going to really win this cycle. I think a few months ago I made a video saying Solana will flip Ethereum, and obviously at that time everyone thought I was completely redacted, but since that time, that the probability of that has increased. Definitely not a 100% probability, definitely a very low probability, but very smart individuals such as Santiago or Santos, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter, but one of the guys at Blockworks, really smart guy, way smarter than me. I predicted his prediction. He actually thinks Solana will flip Ethereum in this cycle. So that's pretty cool. At first he was giving it a 20% probability, and now I think he's saying it's an 80% probability, something crazy like that. Now, personally, I'm not sure Solana's going to flip Ethereum in this cycle, but I think it's going to massively outperform. And there's a few key things about the technology, the architecture of Solana that really stand out, that really make this a very compelling investment opportunity, in my opinion. Now, there's not, we're going to get through the tech stuff. If you're not interested in that, skip on to the end, because there's other important aspects of the Solana ecosystem, which means that Solana will beat Ethereum on other metrics as well, not just from a technology perspective. But first I want to run through some technology differences. Just some people might not find that interesting, but I think it's really interesting, and I think it's actually very important as well. And it's actually stuff that a lot of people don't even realize. Now, obviously the main nice thing about Solana that everyone knows is it's extremely fast and it's extremely cheap. But why is it like that? What is the difference? Why can't Ethereum just have fast and cheap transactions? Why can't even layer 2s on Ethereum have as fast and as cheap transactions as Solana? Alright, so in order to get a good understanding of how the Solana blockchain was engineered or designed to be so efficient, first, if you actually look at the backgrounds of the founders, they came from the likes of Qualcomm. Anatoly came from Qualcomm, and essentially what they were doing there is to try and get as much data through silicon, like phones, most efficient way possible. I'm going to read out a couple of excerpts from the Solana website directly. Now, so many of the core Solana builders have a background in building cell phone networks, meaning they are singularly focused on building for scalability and efficiency, ability to get the most information across with the least amount of resources. And when you think about it, there's literally been 40 or 50 years worth of engineering, worth of research into doing exactly this. And blockchains, Anatoly is okay, for example, a centralized database at the moment can process up to 710,000 transactions per second on a standard gigabit network if the transactions are 176 bytes. That's basically the limit of what's technically feasible with current technology, the optimistic concurrency control. And at Solana, we are demonstrating that the same theoretical limits apply just as well to blockchain as on an adversarial network. So basically what they're saying is that there has been decades of research done into making centralized databases as efficient as possible. So why would you go ahead and not use this research and all this knowledge and apply it to a blockchain? And theoretically there should be the same kind of limits applied for a centralized database as a decentralized database, which is kind of a big, nobody thought that was really possible. So what are some of the differences that they've implemented in the Solana blockchain? Okay, first we're going to talk about parallelization. Now, I know probably a lot of you have heard of this, and parallelized EVMs are really taking off at the moment, but let me just explain it in a little bit further detail. So Ethereum, for example, and a lot of EVM chains like EVM clones like AVAX, Phantom, they all use sequential transactions. So basically that means if I send a transaction, if my friend Greg sends a transaction, I sent it a little bit before Greg, so my transaction is going to be processed, and then Greg's transaction is going to be processed. However, with Solana, you can have multiple transactions going through in parallel at the same time. What does that also mean, or what is another added benefit to that? So the big breakthrough that Solana had, and it was like kind of a lucky design in the way that they initially created the Solana blockchain. It was a fluke that they didn't have at the very start, but they were able to say, okay, say everyone is trying to get this mint. Like, for example, when I was minting Otherside, if you know the Bored Ape Yacht Club metaverse, at the time, the Ethereum gas fees went up to like 1 or 2 Ethereum. I paid like 1.4 or 1.7 Ethereum in gas fees to get my transaction through because I really wanted that mint. And it actually, in the short term, was worth me doing that. So it was worth me spending that Ethereum because I was going to get more reward. However, everyone who wanted to do that mint was willing to pay that gas fee. But say Greg doesn't care about other side, he just wants to send some money, or he just wants to do some sort of DeFi transaction. He goes to his MetaMask 1.7 Ethereum. What the fuck? Basically, the whole chain has to pay that 1.7 Ethereum if they want to use the network at that time. However, with Solana, it's only going to be the people minting that NFT at that particular time, or trying to get that liquidation arbitrage at a particular time in that particular address. So you can basically isolate that, and only the priority fees are going to spike for that particular transaction or for that particular address, whereas everyone else on the network is completely unaffected. So instead of the entire rest of the chain being essentially completely useless because some NFT Bored Ape mint is going on, like imagine a real financial BlackRock or something is trying to do an Ethereum transaction, and like, oh, there's stupid Bored Apes are minting Otherside. Like, this is ridiculous. We're not paying these kind of fees right now. Like, that's just completely ridiculous to them. So obviously a chain where that doesn't happen is, you know, like if proper institutions are trying to get on board, this kind of shit can't really go on. And this kind of structure is called isolated fee markets. So like I said, with parallelization, there's a lot of parallelized EVMs going around, and Say is one of them, in the fact that Say right now it's not EVM compatible, but they're planning to be. So that's actually another coin that I'm quite interested in at the moment, is Say. And as you can see, this is the founder of Say, called Jay, basically saying that, like, he's answering the question, why can't a layer 2 on Ethereum do 50k TPS? And he's basically saying that it's impossible for this to happen. So that's why a different L1, like Say with new design, is probably going to, you know, also take a stab at ETH's market share as well as things like Celestia, which is providing the data availability. At the moment, Celestia is kind of, you know, an ally, it's kind of a friend, but in the future, Celestia is probably going to suck a lot of the interest away from Ethereum as well, unfortunately. Because you might be thinking, oh, but yeah, Solana, great, fast and cheap transactions, but Ethereum has layer 2s, and layer 2s are also going to have fast and cheap transactions. But as we saw, they're not going to be as fast or as cheap ever. Like, theoretically, it's not really possible. But even still, they're going to be pretty fast and pretty cheap. Like, still, like, most people are willing to pay a cent and wait 1 or 2 seconds for a transaction, something like that. However, still there is a problem with this architecture, in the fact that liquidity is going to be divided across all of these layer 2s and across from the Ethereum mainnet layer 1 as well. For example, like, you can't really have your NFT, like your Pudgy Penguin is on Ethereum, but it's not also on a layer 2. You know what I mean? You'd have to bridge it across, or you'd have to have some sort of token that matches it. So it's a bit of a mess in the fact that your NFT can't be really on multiple of the layers. It has to pick one. So you basically, if you're a new NFT project, you have to pick Arbitrum, you have to pick Optimism, you have to pick ZK Sync, you have to pick Ethereum mainnet. And it's the exact same with DeFi applications. For example, if you want to take out a loan, probably at the moment most of the liquidity is on Ethereum mainnet on Aave, but there's also going to be liquidity there available on Arbitrum. So instead of like all the liquidity being on one chain, all this liquidity is divided up. So if all the liquidity is divided up, you're not going to have as fluid dynamics as well as like as good rates for taking out a loan, because like it's an absolute nightmare. If I want to send you some USDC and my USDC is on Ethereum, but you're on Arbitrum, you have to bridge it across, and it just adds a lot of complexity. And builders coming into the space, they have to choose, which layer 2 are we going to build on? Are we going to build on Blast? Are we going to build on Arbitrum? Are we going to build on Ethereum mainnet? I think mostly they're going to be choosing layer 2s, but it's kind of an extra step, an extra hassle for them to have to choose which one is the best, which one has the most liquidity, will have the most liquidity for our product that's not even built yet. Now, moving on, I made another prediction. I said shitcoin season or meme coin seasons on Solana are going to be completely crazy. And this was way before WIF. It was actually even before Bonk started taking off. Solana never had a real shitcoin season ever before. And I was basically, in my mind, I was like, this is so perfect for meme coin trading and for S-coin trading, going back and forth, because the transaction fees are so small. Like, I have done a lot of S-coin trading on Ethereum and having to pay gas fees. Actually, when I bought Pepe at like 50k market cap, or really, really low, 500, I can't remember, like a low market cap, and I wanted to take profits. I wanted to just sell a little bit, but the transaction fee was $50. So I was like, like it's only worth a few hundred. I might as well just sell it all in one go. I liked Pepe, but I didn't want to sell it all, but I also didn't want to sleep on holding this bag of Pepe that could go to zero by tomorrow. By the time I woke up, I want to take a little bit of profits, but because their transaction fee was so high, I didn't want to do it in two transactions, so I sold it all, and that went on to 100x from there. And you know, that was an absolute stinker because of the gas fees. Now then I saw, okay, Solana just does not have this problem. You can get in and out of coins with $1 worth. Like, you can buy $1 worth of a coin and not lose money on transaction fees. It's just insane. And obviously we've seen the absolute meme coin mania, which just hasn't stopped for the last 2 or 3 months on Solana. And in the next cycle, you know, there's going to be a crazy meme coin season on Solana, in my personal opinion. And I'm really not sure, like, mainnet ETH is never going to have the kind of S-coin trading that it used to. Not to the same degeneracy, not to the same levels. Maybe some of the big meme coins can get a comeback, but or some 1 or 2 big meme coins can do well on Ethereum mainnet. But in reality, I don't think it's ever going to be the same. A lot of it's going to be on Solana now and on different layer 2s, and I think most probably a lot of it is going to be going on Solana. In the last cycle, it was the Binance chain where a lot of this S-coinery was going on. But in this next cycle, I think it's all going to be on Solana personally. And not just this is my next prediction. Hasn't really happened yet, but I think NFTs will come back with an absolute vengeance in the next cycle. Like, a lot of people have been saying NFTs are dead. Profile pictures are like never coming back. I completely disagree. But I think the Ethereum, like trading and flipping NFTs on Ethereum like we had in the last cycle, I don't think that will be the same. Like, I do think some of the Ethereum NFTs that are already on Ethereum can come back and can do very well. We've already seen Pudgy Penguins doing very well. I did a video on them last summer, got 200 views. Heck, you know, guys, but if you had listened to me back then, you know, anyway. But I do think a lot of the Ethereum NFTs will come back, like even Bored Apes. Other side I'm really interested in right now, because, you know, there's a lot of teasing about other side coming up again, but everyone's hating on apes at the moment. I don't know, and D-Gods as well. Everyone's hating on D-Gods, but I wouldn't count these guys out. Nevertheless, I don't think a lot of the, you know, trading and flipping of Ethereum NFTs like it was crazy in the last cycle. I think this is all going to switch over to Solana. I think all the big new launches, all the huge new mints, all the flipping and trading NFTs that was really popular on Ethereum in the last cycle, that's all going to be on Solana, or a large majority of that is going to be on Solana in this cycle, in my opinion. Now, it also will be probably on other chains, like like maybe some L2s as well. But yeah, I think Solana NFTs in the next cycle is going to be a really big thing. And if you want to find some Solana NFTs, I did a video on Solana NFTs, and I am going to be helping different projects. So a little bit of alpha if you want to drop your Phantom wallet address in the comments. I'm starting to gather some Phantom wallet addresses for something, for a friend is making something, so I'll just leave that there. If you do it, do it. That's all I'll say. That's all I can say. The other prediction I have is that some of these big Ethereum NFTs, some particularly gaming projects on Ethereum, I think some of them will migrate to Solana, but like the gaming ones in particular, because you need a lot of transactions for gaming. A lot of time you're going to need a lot of transactions for gaming, and Solana makes a lot more sense for doing that. Or they might bridge to a layer 2 or something like that, but I think a lot of projects will have to bridge in the next cycle if they want to be a gaming project, really. Alright, this is DJ Investor from the day after I'm doing the editing for this video, and literally today Killer Bears have announced that they're migrating to Solana, so there you go. What a coincidence. Now, moving on, the other big advantage that Solana has is, okay, it has fast and cheap transactions that are extremely fast, extremely cheap, but what does that actually allow you to do? It actually allows you to do a huge amount of things that are only possible on Solana. One of the biggest at the moment of which is DePIN, Decentralized Physical Infrastructure. And if you've been watching my videos, all my last videos have been on DePIN projects. A large majority of the successful DePIN projects were all either bridged to Solana or be built on Solana for obvious reasons. We've already seen a number of projects like Render, Helium, HiveMap are all bridged to Solana. They all used to have their own blockchains, but they bridged to Solana because, you know, the architecture is perfect for DePIN, and I don't think that trend is going to stop. I also think all the new projects are going to build on Solana. So there's this moat that Solana has in the fact that it's very established. It has been around for a few years, so like it's coming out of beta. It's almost in alpha now. It's actually, if you didn't know, Solana is still in beta mode until they have Tensor up. They're still labeling themselves as a beta product, but it's still a very established and trusted blockchain. So a lot of projects are going to build on Solana rather than Sei or other very new layer 1 chains that don't have that kind of proof that they're able to be resilient over a number of years. And this only possible on Solana. As I said, it's perfect for DePIN, but it's also probably perfect for a lot of products that we haven't even thought about yet. So like potential new projects that haven't even been built or conceived in the mind yet, but because of the architecture of Solana, these will only be possible on Solana. Some other big future improvements for Solana, like I mentioned, is Firedancer. That's going to send the transactions, the theoretical transactions per second, up to 1 million or 700,000, but like 1 million transactions per second, which is, you know, unlikely that the human race will ever need more than 1 million transactions per second. So that's kind of what they were optimizing for. The other improvement with Firedancer, the reason that it turns it from beta to alpha, is that it's being written entirely in a different programming language. So the current Solana client, are the main Solana Labs, is built on Rust, as well as the Jido client is also built on Rust. But the Firedancer is built in C++, I think, which means it's completely coded from the ground up with new code. So the likelihood of a bug, okay, there's an equal likelihood of a bug in either of the code bases, but if they are both different code bases, they're not going to have the same bug in them. So if one goes down for whatever reason, Solana has gone down in the past, the reason that this client, let's say the Rust client, has gone down doesn't mean that also the C++ client goes down at the same time. So there would be a backup client that the Solana validators can run. So Solana, they would both need to have a different bug at the exact same time, which is way less likely and way more resilient. Now, one of the problems that they realize with Solana is because it's so fast and so cheap, there's a lot of spam on the network, in the fact that people are putting out transactions that like could potentially be profitable for them, like trying to get a liquidation or trying to do these arbitrage opportunities. These bots are continually putting out transactions because they're so cheap, and loads of them, like 99% of these spam transactions just fail, but they don't care that it fails because every 1 in 100, maybe they get a tiny arbitrage opportunity. So there's all this spam that kind of clogs up the Solana blockchain. But here we can see that they're implementing new guards against these spam attacks where, like, if your transaction is very likely to fail over and over, it's basically going to block these kind of transactions, basically freeing up the network a bit more for more legitimate transactions instead of these kind of spammy transactions. Like I said, I'm still buying as much Solana as I possibly can. I do think it's going to go a lot higher from here, like at $90 or so, whatever it is here. I still think there's a lot of multiples for Solana to go in the next cycle. And Solana has now become my main crypto bag. It's actually exceeded my Bitcoin bag. And at the moment, I basically hold no spot Ethereum. All my Ethereum is locked up in NFT projects, like my Mutant that I still have, and some little pudgies and stuff like that, and some bag holding Ethereum NFTs that I still unfortunately have in my wallet that I didn't sell when Ethereum NFTs were crazy high. But yeah, I'm not really holding any spot Ethereum. Personally, the risk reward isn't amazing for Ethereum in my personal opinion, but I'm not a hater of Ethereum. There's just a lot of competition for Ethereum between even its L2s, a lot of division of liquidity, like, okay, do I buy Ethereum, do I buy Arbitrum, do I buy Blast, or do I buy Say, or Celestia? There's a lot of different EVM stuff to invest in, so like, why would you go ahead and buy the biggest one with the biggest market cap? And Solana, there's only really Solana to buy. You know what I mean? Alright, so thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all the great comments and all the feedback, the nice feedback you guys have been giving me. I'm going to keep smashing out these videos, finding more gems and more alpha in the Solana ecosystem in particular, and sharing that with you, because we've had a good 6 months or so, and yeah, we're going to keep it going. This next year we're going to absolutely crush it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.